Okay, and some rational number word problems. These are fractions and decimals. Audrey, and it should be used, 1/4 of a teaspoon of oregano and 1/8 teaspoon of rosemary in a recipe. How much oregano how much oregano and rosemary is Andrea using in all? Using, and that should be in all, please forgive me. How much is she using in all? In other words, we're looking for a sum there, we're looking for a total. In other words, we're going to add, we're going to look for the key words in there, we're going to add 1/4 plus 1/8. Well, you can use the trick I showed you earlier about finding common denominators, but this one's fairly simple. It's 8. Well, how do we go from 4 to 8? We had to multiply by 2. We'll have to do that to the top 2. That's going to be 2 over 8 plus 1 over 8. 1 plus, and remember the math on bottom is done, so it's going to be 8 on bottom. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3/8 teaspoon. And remember to put the unit. Sharon's house, the library, and Lisa's house are all on the same road. Sharon has to ride her bike 1 1/3 miles to get from her house to the library, and another 2 3/4 miles to get from the library to Lisa's house. So we're all on a straight line. Remember what I told you, draw a big picture. Okay? Sharon's house, the library, and Lisa's house are all on the same straight road. Sharon has to ride her bike 1 1/3 miles between Sharon's house and the library. 1 and 1/3. And another 2 3/4 miles to get from the library to Lisa's house. Okay, this is 2 3/4. Well, all we need to do, if we're talking about from here to here, we need to add up what's here and add up what's here. And we would simply do that by saying 1 and 1/3 plus 2 and 3/4. Well, we have to change these to an improper fraction. This becomes 3 times 1 is 1 plus 1 is 4/3 plus, this is going to become 8, 9, 10, 11/4. Well, now we have to find the common denominator. And you can use your trick where we did multiples like I showed you earlier, but that's going to be a 12. How do we go from 3 to 12? We multiplied by 4. Well, if we do that, we have to do the same thing on top. That's going to make that a 16. How do we go from a 4 to a 12? We multiplied by 3, so we have to multiply the top by 3. That's going to be 33. Math on bottom is done. Answer will be 49/12. But we're not done. That's an improper fraction. That is an improper fraction. We have to change that. So 49 goes in the house. 12 goes outside. 12 into 49 will go 4 times. So we're going to have 4 in some fraction. 48. Our remainder is 1. So we're going to have 4 and 1 because that's the remainder. And the 12 stays on bottom. 4 1/12 mile. A rope measures 3.98 feet and it's cut into 2 pieces. It should be into 2 pieces. If one piece measures 1.4, what is the length of the other piece? Well, we know that if, again, we can draw a picture here. The whole thing is 3.98 meters, or feet, excuse me. Well, one piece is cut 1.4. We want to know what's left. Okay, we're going to subtract there. So we're going to say 3.98 minus 1.4. Well, I don't have enough spaces there. Well, I just add a 0. 8 minus 0 is 8. 9 minus 4 is 5. Don't forget to bring your decimal down. 3 minus 1 is 2. The answer is 2.58 feet. Don't forget your unit. Paul owes his father $10.75. Well, unfortunately, then he had to go back to his dad and borrow another $5.55. What number represents Paul's debt to his father? Well, first we had remember when we talk about debt, we have 10.75 minus, that's a negative. He owes his father, that's his debt. Debt is usually almost always spoken about in terms of negative numbers. Okay, then he borrowed another $5.55. So we're going to be adding another negative to it, negative 5.55. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can just say, hey, this plus this equals some number negative. Or you can write it out in an expression. Same signs, add and keep. So I've got 10.75 plus 5.55. 0, 1, that's 13. Carry the 1, that's 6. Same signs, add and keep. So we're going to keep the negative sign. We've got negative $16.30. Represents his debt. Debt is almost always spoken of in terms of negative numbers. Miss Smith has $3,095.63 in her checking account. She wrote a check to pay for 2 airline tickets that totaled $1,348.92. How much money does she have left in her checking account? When you write a check, that is what is known as a debit. That money is taken out of your account. So she had $3,095.63. She wrote a check for $1,348.92. The mathematical operation we're going to perform here is subtraction. 3095.63 minus 1,348.92. That's 1. This is going to become a 16, making that a 4. 16 minus 9 is 7. Well, we can't say 4 minus 8. So we have to borrow from over here and make that an 8 and make this a 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 8 minus 4 is 4. We can't say 0 minus 3, so we're going to have to make that a 10 and this a 2. 10 minus 3 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. She has $1,746.71 after she writes that check. Stephanie had $325.48 in her checking account. She made 2 deposits. Deposit is where you go put money in the account. How much money was left in her account after the 2 deposits? Well, the deposits means she's going to add to the amount that is in her account. So we're just going to add both of those numbers. 325.48 plus 70.88 and 28.35. And I'm going to go ahead and do this on a calculator, but you're going to have to do it on your own. For the sake of time here, the answer is going to be $424.71. We'll skip number 8. In the Pacific Ocean, the Philippine Trench is 12.05 kilometers deep. In the Atlantic Ocean, the Brazilian Basin is 5.99 kilometers deep. How much deeper is the Philippine Trench than Brazilian basin? What we have here is basically a difference problem. What is the difference in the size? In other words, how much deeper is the Philippine Trench than the Brazilian Basin? Well, we're going to say 12.05 minus 5.99. Well, let's just do it here. 5.99. We can't say 5 minus 9, so we're going to have to make that into a 15 and make this into a 9. 15 minus 9 is 6. 9 minus 9 is 0. And 12 minus 5 is 7. A difference of 7.06 kilometers. Let's get down to number 11. At dawn, the temperature at the summit of a mountain was negative 18.5 degrees. By noon, the temperature had increased by 11.6 degrees. What was the temperature at noon? Well, we started out here, didn't we? And then we had an increase, which indicates addition. So we're going to say negative 18.5 plus 11.6. We already have addition, so we can use our song if this is confusing to us. Same signs, add and keep. Different signs. We have different signs here. This is a negative, this is a positive. So we have different signs we're going to subtract. So now we have to, and we're going to keep this sign because this is farthest from 0. So the answer is going to be negative. Okay? So 18.5 minus 11.6. Let's make that into a 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. Make that into a 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. Let's not forget our decimal point. And 1 minus 1 is 0. The new temperature at noon is negative 6.9 degrees. Don't forget your degree sign. The school track is 7/8 of a mile. Emily ran 1/4 of a mile this morning. How much farther does she have to go to get all the way around the track? How much farther does she have? So we're talking about the difference between this number and this number. She's, she got 7/8 of a mile. She started here. She's got about 1/4 of it. Okay. We want to know what's left. Okay. So we're going to have to subtract. We're going to have to say 7/8 minus 1/4. Well, that doesn't work because we don't have a common denominator. And our common denominator here is a very easy one. It's 8. So we keep 7/8. 1/4 becomes 2/8. 7 minus 2 is 5/8. The answer is 5/8. Again, look for the keywords. How much farther does she have to go? We're not talking about a combination of two different numbers here. We're talking about the difference between the two. $13. This is a difficult one. The Millers budget 1/3 of their income for fixed expenses. Those are things like rent and that sort of thing. Fixed expenses that don't change very much. And 1/6 of their income for savings. So luckily for them, they're able to put 1/6 of their income in the savings account. What fraction of their income is left? Well, the fraction that represents their entire income is 1. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million or $10. The fraction that represents, or the number that represents their entire income is just 1. The whole thing. So what you have to do is say 1 minus something. In this case. So, but we have to add these two up. 1/3 plus 1/6. Let's find a common denominator. Luckily for us, it's a very easy one. It's 6. This changes this into 2/6 plus 1/6, which is 3/6. If we reduce that, that equals 1/2. But we're not done. Half of their money is spent. How much is left? Well, 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2. And how we know 1, we can change that to 1/1, or which is 2/2, and just subtract the 1/2 there, and that equals 1/2. What is the difference between these two? You would just subtract I'll let you work on that one on your own. Let's skip down to 17. During a recycling drive, 1/4 of the material collected was bottles, 1/6 was paper, 1/12 was cardboard. How much of the total do these items represent? So of the total, how much do they represent? We're going to have to add those up. How much of the total do they represent? We're going to add those up. We got 1/4 plus 1/6 plus 1/12. This might be a good situation where you would want to use that trick I showed you earlier where you find a common denominator and use multiples. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, though, that the common denominator here is 12. This one stays the same. This one becomes 2/12. This one becomes 3/12. We don't have to add the bottom. Remember, we're just adding the top. 3 plus 2 is 5 plus 1 is 6. 6/12 is the same once we reduce it to half. Remember, you must reduce for the answer to be correct. These are all the same as we've done before.